1974, a breakthrough in public safety vehicles. Something that was brought about by popular TV series such as the LA County Fire Department and the TV series Emergency. First responder vehicles, especially for the fire department, were getting improvements such as 3-point safety belts, chassis cabs, enclosed cabs especially beyond just the city to keep firefighters safe and dry. And more importantly, beyond just surplus military vehicles or forestry service vehicles, was the implementation of four-wheel drive, something that no one had ever thought about before. But for disaster response, as well as off-road, snow-covered road, or no road, four-wheel drive was becoming more and more popular. With the pumper trucks all the way from the 1-ton all the way up to the 700 series trucks made by the Big Three Motor Company, as well as international. Four-wheel drive could provide necessary access to disasters, wildfires, and such for first responders. And paramedics themselves required more than the famous Cadillac ambulance hearse bodies. Paramedics from around 1970 onwards from LA County Fire Department were being trained across the United States. Van bodies themselves were providing limited space for paramedics to work in the back. As they could provide only limited access to patients, these van bodies started to die out up and through about the 1980s. Instead, the ambulance bodies, which were mounted by a cutoff of the vans themselves, or later on from about 1971 onward, pickup trucks from the Big Three Motor Companies. These ambulance bodies, even though they were not diesel, offered options such as communications on board, portable generator systems, setups for shock paddles, seats for the paramedics, as well as a bed or two beds to keep the patients safe and secured while paramedics worked on them with life-saving techniques to get them to the hospital. And even though the Big Three did have four-wheel drive for GM and Chrysler, Ford as well, from the 1980s onward, four-wheel drive was only something offered in the ALS package from International or GM, but the ALS package did not provide adequate space for paramedics. So this too was phased out for the more popular ambulance bodies. Now it's common to see these ambulance bodies all the way up to the 5500 series on the Big Three Motor Companies with four-wheel drive and diesel, as well as winches and such, or clear up to the international. And air ambulances were also becoming more popular since the end of the Vietnam. Now it's common to see these in the skies with newer helicopters. Police departments as well had improvements for safety in 1974 with popular vehicles such as the Dodge Monaco seen in the Blues Brothers or the TV series as Chips. Chrysler, especially with this implementation of Dodge, implement this as Major 2 fleet vehicles, which were now being tested with all major motor companies out at the 1974 LA County Sheriff's Fleet Testing Program of all vehicles. Started using techniques for handling, braking, tires, equipment durability, as well as lights, spotlights, and push bumpers. People from across the United States utilizing these fleet vehicles could see their handling and characteristics from the interior layouts to the heavy-duty components such as brakes, suspension, and such that the public itself could not buy. Dodge offered the Monaco and the Coronet, whereas Plymouth offered the twin body setup with the Fury and the popular Plymouth Satellite. TV series such as Adam 12 were some of those which you had seen these vehicles. Plymouth itself actually had a few extra horsepower in their engines, even though they were identical coming off the assembly line. Now Plymouth is discontinued and is strictly Dodge from the Chrysler lineup. GM too did offer a few vehicles for their full-size vehicle, from the Impala to the Biscayne to the Bel Air, which ended up disappearing strictly to the Impala and the Caprice. Now these vehicles themselves are eliminated. Even the mid-sized cars such as the Nova 9C1 or the Ford Custom 500 full-size or the popular Australian version, the Ford Interceptor, which we see in movies such as Mad Max with the big block 429. Big vehicles such as the four-wheel drive Chevy Suburban and the half-ton and three-quarter-ton started having four doors, even though Dodge offered four doors clear back to the 1950s, as well as did Jeep. International, with their Harvester or even the Jeep Wagoneer, did offer options to provide agencies with four-wheel drive command vehicles, special purpose vehicles and such, but they had not been utilized up until at least the 1990s or the 2000s, such as we see today. Had agencies realized they could have used this back then, time in itself could have changed for the accessibility. 1974 was the epitome of improvements for all public safety.